Tonight we're going to be making a temporary crown. We're going to use this model. And the first step is, when the patient comes in, you're going to immediately take an impression . And we're going to let that set up. And while that's setting up, you guys know how to take an impression. I've showed you in previous videos. So obviously if this was a real patient, I would be holding it in their mouth. And then once we're done taking the impression, we're going to pour it up like I've showed you in previous videos. We're going to take it out of the impression and we're going to trim it. Alright, so I've trimmed this up a little bit. And the next step is we're going to be making kind of like a retainer for it. So this model that I've trimmed up, we're going to put right there. I'm going to open this drawer and get a piece of the BioCurl out. And we're going to turn this on towards the red light. And once this droops down, it'll be ready to suction over. And the only way to really tell is to get even with it to see if it's slumped yet. So we'll wait for that to happen.
Heating the top.
This heats this little piece of plastic right here, and this top portion is very hot, so you just want to handle it by the round handle. And usually when you're working in a lab, this will go a lot faster because this is kind of, you know, you're working on 2 or 3 of these at a time, like bleaching trays and indirect bond trays and things like that. So this is ready to go. But because we just turned it on, it takes maybe 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. And, you know, getting down to be able to see it, you know, I can see it starting to move, but it's got to heat up enough to take the form of the teeth and then cool down so it doesn't move anymore and it'll hold that shape. I'm going to grab the scissors out of here. Almost there.
Yeah, I can see it kind of go down.
Yeah.
How do you know when it's too much?
It kind of looks like someone's sitting in a hammock. So if you see that right now, it's ready. Post-it note. It's a little tacky. So we're going to leave it on. And then what I like to do is run it under cold water to make sure that it's completely cooled down. I'll take this out. And so we're going to be working let's do the canine. So I'm going to look where the canine is and make sure I get a couple of teeth on either side of it. Okay. And then make sure that fits. You always want to try it back in the patient's mouth. The worst thing to do is to fill this up and you realize that it's not going to fit. Okay, so there we go. Perfect. So now you have your matrix ready. So we're going to set that aside. You've taken the patient's impression, you've poured it up, you trimmed it up, you made the matrix. Now you're ready for the dentist. So they're going to come in and they're going to prep this tooth for a crown. So we'll just say, for sake of time, here is your prep tooth. You see how much space you have around it now. Okay, it's whittled down, ready for a temporary crown to be made. So we're going to get the temporary material. And for a patient, you would do all of the bonding steps. So this would be a temporary cement. You would isolate it, etch, rinse, dry, seal, and then put the temporary cement on. Well, how we do that is you put it in the tray that's going to get the crown. So you fill this up. You put it on the prepped tooth. And then you take your light and you light it up. Never look at the light. And there's some lights in the office that are really fast, yeah, and expensive. So,
Did you do that after you've etched and everything?
and then the dentist can take a finishing burr and just kind of neaten it up.
Do you check the occlusal for a crown?
Mm-hmm.
You do.
But this one should be perfect because it's the same shape as the tooth before.
Mm-hmm.
But still, you just want to check and say, how does your bite feel? Get some Miller forceps, some Acufilm, and then we're going to get the other side, making sure it gets completely set up. And there's a couple different ways to do this. Some offices will do the polyvinyl siloxane impression, the rubber-based impression material, and instead of going through the time of making a matrix, they will actually put the temporary crown material in the impression and put the impression back in the mouth. And that's pretty efficient. So once that's done, you've got a restored temporary tooth, okay? So that is the first part of, temporary crown restoration, restoring it to the original look. Because you don't want a patient to go out of the office with, a little teeny tooth and people just kind of looking like, what happened to your tooth? And so this is going to make them more comfortable, be able to eat functionally, and then they'll come back, you'll take it off, you've already taken the impression, you're going to send it to a lab, or nowadays 3D imaging where the crown can be made in the office. So it just depends. Some offices still do it the old-fashioned way. Some, change their techniques best for their team. So not too bad. So those are the steps. And next we're going to be doing the bonding procedure.